We start this episode with a major project update, a groundbreaking almost a decade in the making. The Environmental Management Disposal Facility, or EMDF, is an important piece of infrastructure EM needs to finish cleanup at the Y-12 National Security Complex and Oak Ridge National Lab. Let's get right into that. Energycast starts now.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, your source for the Department of Energy's environmental cleanup news. Energycast starts now.
One of the things I've sort of noticed around the country is just what a correlation exists between how well we do the work and the level of alignment that we have with all of the folks who are involved in making that happen. I think seeing all of you here this morning is a testament to that alignment here in Oak Ridge and in East Tennessee.
You are hearing from Department of Energy Environmental Management Leader Ike White at that site of a new disposal facility. He joined us for the groundbreaking in Oak Ridge. In just a moment, we're going to show you how this project will work, but first, a look at how we got here. Federal officials began talking to the community about this need about 8 years ago. The public got an in-depth look at the project in 2018. That's the year EM released its proposed plan for EMDF. Among other things, they shared where it would be constructed and what types of waste would not be allowed. EM then offered a comment period. Now, during that span, EM hosted several information sessions and a public meeting to walk people through the plan. In turn, community members could give input back to EM. All right, now fast forward to 2021. DOE sends its first draft of the Record of Decision, or ROD, to the state of Tennessee and Environmental Protection Agency. This document held more details about the project. It also included all of those comments DOE had gotten and answered from the public. With consensus reached on several key topics, EM launched another round of outreach recently in May of 2022 to educate and hear back from the community on select topics. That outreach included publishing new informational materials, offering an additional 30-day public comment period, and hosting another public meeting. That all laid the groundwork for DOE and its regulators to sign that final ROD for the project in September of 2022. That brings us here, the groundbreaking. It took lots of planning, designs, discussions, and public input to get to this moment.
So we were all looking at our own mission, respecting others' missions, finding the common ground, finding the common solutions, and I feel like we got pretty creative in the way that we went about that.
It'll be located on federal land on the Oak Ridge Reservation.
I want our constituents to know that myself, the Department of Energy, EPA, TDEC, the community came together, business leaders, academians, all to make sure this happened.
With the current landfill almost at capacity, this one is needed for the building rubble and soil generated from cleanup projects in the years ahead.
It's our great history, it's our current work that we're doing to bring American nuclear back to the world and to this country. Also, all the different things that we're doing, whether it's supercomputing, materials research, we're doing it right here. None of this will be able to happen long-term without legacy cleanup. We've got to clean up the old to move forward with the new.
All along, our team has been committed to informing the community and answering your questions about this work.
I was familiar with this site back in the late 80s, early 90s, and the cleanup and the progress has continued, and so I think that what this represents is perseverance and a commitment to cleaning the site up to return it to the future use that's needed.
With your input and approval from the Environmental Protection Agency and State of Tennessee, we were able to move forward with the EMDF project.
Thank you very much.
EM will continue its outreach efforts to the community as the project moves forward. We do plan to host another information session this fall to share the latest details about the groundwater demonstration study. We will, of course, let you know those dates as soon as they are finalized right here on Energycast. Crews are also expanding another landfill on the Oak Ridge Reservation. This one, known as Landfill 5, only accepts industrial and construction debris. It does not accept the same type of waste as the current waste management facility or the future environmental management disposal facility. EM uses both to support its cleanup projects. This 5-acre expansion increases the landfill's capacity by 50,000 truckloads. That allows EM to use it for another 15 to 20 years. This project is on schedule to be completed by the end of the year. We've got a traffic update for you this month. The city of Oak Ridge is digging a new water line to its new treatment plant. That project is about to impact commutes for employees who use Scarborough Road to get to Y-12 and UCOR's office buildings. That dig will start closing lanes as early as the end of August, so here's the deal. That's when crews may need to close one southbound lane on Scarborough near the intersection of Bethel Valley Road. After Labor Day, Scarborough Road will only be open to northbound traffic from Bethel Valley Road to UCOR's office buildings. Both southbound lanes will be closed. That is expected to continue from September 5th to mid-November. From mid-October to mid-November, one southbound lane between UCOR's office building and Y-12 will be closed. Although one lane will be closed, the city will still have two-way traffic available during that span. As we break into August, temperatures are on the rise. Recent weeks have brought summer highs and some really uncomfortable heat indices. Energycast's Cameron Jacobs talked with managers to see how they're keeping employees in the field safe during these really hot days.
So UCOR has a number of things that we take into account when it comes to heat stress. Heat stress is one of the biggest hazards our workforce faces just naturally in the East Tennessee environment.
Heat in the field can be predicted, but how your body reacts to the heat is much more unpredictable. As the temperatures outside rise, so do the risks to the workforce. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, more than 400 work-related deaths have occurred over the past decade due to heat exposure.
It's a reality for our workforce that it's a true hazard that can't be ignored. In fact, for the nation, heat stress is one of the leading causes of fatalities for the U.S. Workforce. We've been very fortunate that we've been able to deploy such great technologies to catch any type of heat-related symptom, illness before it becomes catastrophic or a severe injury.
Wolfley is proud of the safety precautions the company utilizes. That includes using these V2 units, which are worn on the arms of the workforce. The equipment monitors and tracks vital statistics to prevent issues like heat stress and exhaustion.
In just this year alone, we've been able to recognize and assist people before an injury happened through physiological monitoring, be able to catch a condition that could have led to an illness or injury and get them medical treatment, non-work related, personal condition. And right there, that's part of our culture of caring. That's part of our looking out for each other, putting safety first and a prerequisite to all that we do.
It's no secret that the summer months are hot in East Tennessee. That's why Deputy Safety and Health Manager Jeremiah Huskins says planning starts early.
Well, I mean, as far as the heat stress management, it starts basically in the winter months. And what we do at that time, we start looking to see as far as telemetry, cool down rooms, what we can do to cool the area itself, educating people, more or less just to get a proactive approach on that.
This planning and technology is combined with scheduling workers to begin their shifts earlier. During times of extreme heat, employees report to their projects before sunrise to make progress and avoid working during the hottest part of the day. Together, these efforts are helping ensure employees stay safe on the job and are able to return home when their shift is over. For Energycast, I'm Cameron Jacobs.
Oak Ridge National Lab has selected its next director. Stephen Streifer will be overseeing the nation's largest science and energy lab starting in October. Streifer has about 3 decades of experience. He spent 24 years at Argonne National Lab in Illinois. Most recently, he had been serving as interim director at SLAC National Accelerator Lab. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, he was co-director of DOE's National Virtual Biotechnology Lab. At his lead, teams from across the country did research and testing to help the worldwide crisis. A whole lot of business buzz at this year's Nuclear Opportunities Workshop. Check out this lineup. Earlier, you heard from Senior DOE Advisor Ike White. While he was in town, he also stopped by the conference. This is the 5th year the East Tennessee Economic Council has hosted this event. Each year it brings together industry leaders. By getting these professionals in one room together, the goal is to share industry updates, business opportunities, and research and technology advancements. You're going to see some state politicians also show up. The event brought together representatives from small and large businesses from all across the East Tennessee area. That hope, again, is to continue making the region a leader and a destination for the nuclear industry. Several Oak Ridge leaders are now members of the Tennessee Nuclear Energy Advisory Council. Here they are. Last month, we told you about the governor's executive order creating a new $50 million nuclear fund. He created this board along with it. There are a few names you may recognize. They include Oak Ridge National Laboratories Director Jeff Smith, East Tennessee Economic Council President Tracy Boatner, Anderson County Mayor Terry Frank, head of the University of Tennessee's Department of Nuclear Engineering Wes Hines, and United Cleanup Oak Ridge President and CEO Ken Reuter. Our team checked in with Reuter to find out what we can expect from the new board.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We want to do all the things necessary that will ultimately deliver significant, broad sweeping outcomes for the citizens of Tennessee. And matter of fact, at the benefit, the nuclear produces some kind of outcome, whether it's groundbreaking medical isotopes, power generation, clean energy, whatever it may be. All the stereotypes of this industry have been taken off the table by our ability to close the life cycle, and better yet, close it in a way that it's now a circle. Repurposing of land to put it back in the nuclear life cycle. And that's the difference.
Governor Lee says these appointees will use their industry experience to ensure Tennessee is a top state for nuclear energy companies to invest. East Tennessee is already off to a strong start. Nuclear companies TriSoX, Kairos Power, and UltraSafe Nuclear are the latest to move to Oak Ridge. By the way, his company was just recognized for the 9th consecutive year for its sustainability efforts. That marks the longest span of any company in the EM complex. The contractor was recently awarded the Electronic Product Environmental Assessment Tool, or EPEAT, Purchaser Award. EPEAT is a label used in the information technology sector that helps organizations buy and sell environmentally preferable electronic products. UCOR was a recipient of this award in 3 categories in 2023. Those included computers and displays, servers, and televisions. Recent figures released by the Environmental Protection Agency show EM's cleanup in Oak Ridge is happening at a pace that's leading the nation. EPA oversees cleanup at 175 federal sites across the country. Those sites are located in 10 zones, and they require a wide range of cleanup tasks. Those can include everything from demolishing buildings to digging up contaminated soil or addressing groundwater plumes. EPA data over the past 5 years shows Oak Ridge accounts for 40% of all the completed tasks in the Southeast region. 40%. That also equates to 13% for the entire U.S. Those cleanup tasks, known as remedial actions, are an important target for EPA, and they are reported to Congress every year.
So there's a lot of areas where robots can help us.
Okay, so this is real life. This is a human using a robotic arm to try to open a bottle. We're going to hear from some of the researchers on this really cool project, find out what this will be used for and how it works. When Hollywood makes a movie about historic events, that happened right here. We've got to wonder, did they get it right? Summer blockbuster Oppenheimer hit theaters in July. It has ties to work in East Tennessee. So we checked back in with the Oak Ridge historian to find out what was real and what was just for show. Did you see it? I'd give you a spoiler alert, but is that really necessary with a movie that tells the story of our own history? The movie Oppenheimer premiered in July. The blockbuster focused on work connected with Oak Ridge as it followed a scientist tasked with a nuclear dilemma. It's based on the true story behind the atomic bomb created right here in Oak Ridge.
I hope the insightful discussions and conversations tonight will leave a memorable mark on all of us.
Because of the local tie, there were a slew of events leading up to that premiere. Oak Ridge High School hosted a panel discussion and screening of a documentary about Oppenheimer. You may have seen Oppenheimer After Trinity. The director of that hour-long film was on hand to answer questions. This was 3 days before the big release of the actual Hollywood movie. Students and community members got to learn about the events that shaped our city. All right, so now that the movie is out and we've all had a chance to watch, what did Hollywood get right and what was just for dramatic effect? Last month, we talked with Oak Ridge historian Ray Smith to get a sneak peek at what to expect from the movie. He had some inside sources who let him know what would be in that 3-hour film, and he promised to meet with us again after watching it. In fact, he headed down to Chattanooga to see it on 70mm film. Now, he's answering the question, did Hollywood get it right? Fact versus Hollywood fiction. We're finding out from the Oak Ridge expert whether the blockbuster Oppenheimer portrayed this science story credibly. Historian Ray Smith saw the film in IMAX, so he's giving us the big picture on the big picture.
My social media is just full of inquiries about, hey, what did you think? Hey, did you notice this? Hey, what's wrong here? And those kinds of things.
Even though Oak Ridge was only mentioned 3 times in the movie, Smith says people from around the world are now interested in the secret city. So, did the film crew get the story straight?
Well, the CP1 situation where Oppenheimer goes to Chicago, I can see how he wanted to tie that in, but you know, it happened before.
Still, Smith is giddy talking about it. He loved the movie, dramatizations and all. He tells us one glaring inaccuracy.
Well, the only one I'll mention that really just didn't happen is Nichols never had an office at Los Alamos, but he needed to tie that together. And again, I give him all those kind of freedoms to do some things that are a little different, but Nichols only went out to Los Alamos twice.
We asked about Oppenheimer's relationships. Was this just Hollywood's affinity to include a love story, or did it really happen?
Oh, I actually think he did not include all of Oppenheimer's affairs in there. I just found a new book, and the name of the book is A Love Story, Oppenheimer, The Women in Oppenheimer's Life. I haven't read it yet, but it's a thick book.
As for the man himself, a researcher, husband, and father, Smith says they got that absolutely right.
They knocked it out of the park. I think they did an excellent job of showing the complexities and seeing it from his perspective. That's entirely different than the way movies normally are done. And that's a unique aspect of this one, is that you get to see and hear and think, you know, here's what Oppenheimer's doing, what he's thinking.
Even with some moments glamorized for the silver screen, Smith says the Oppenheimer movie was an epic storytelling success for history, film, and East Tennessee. If you just cannot get enough Oppenheimer, we've got some really fascinating historic photos for you to click through on our Flickr page. We've got photos of Oppenheimer himself in Oak Ridge. You can see images of the local sites getting built as part of the war efforts during the 1940s. Head on over to flickr.com, search for the DOE Oak Ridge page. You'll find this album. And hey, while you're at it, follow us on social media. We've got more Oppenheimer coverage you didn't see in the movie. Only your Energycast team would know where to dig up these stories. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Give us a like or follow. We promise to keep you in the know in Oak Ridge. Here are the 5 big stories happening across the complex. Right now, we're bringing you major EM news from coast to coast. First, to the Portsmouth site in Ohio. EM has awarded a 10-year contract for up to nearly $6 billion. The Southern Ohio Cleanup Company will be handling demolition, disposal, and environmental remediation. Now to our neighboring state. In Aiken, South Carolina, crews at the Savannah River site successfully remediated the lower 3-run stream system. It had been contaminated with mercury from 2 old reactors. 30 miles of streams and 3,000 acres of aquatic habitat are now protected. In West Valley, New York, a penthouse was demolished safely. Yes, a penthouse. All right, not quite as swanky as what you're probably thinking, but important nonetheless. It was a chemical processing cell at the main plant, once used to dissolve spent nuclear fuel. No easy task taking this down. Had 5-foot-thick steel-enforced concrete walls and a 125-ton shield door. Our crews in Idaho Falls moved another step toward closing the largest building at that site. 2 pads that account for nearly half of the 7-acre facility are officially considered closed. Leading up to the closure, crews removed more than 15 million pounds of asphalt from the pads. Some headquarters news for you now. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm will be a speaker at this year's National Cleanup Workshop. Industry and government leaders will assemble from across the country to attend the annual meeting in September. We will have coverage of that event, by the way. We'll be taking Energycast to DC next month. Our team will be taking video and interviewing national leaders. We're going to let you know about the latest environmental management news all across the country and how Oak Ridge plays into the big picture. Plus, so many jobs in East Tennessee are fueled by EM work. We're going to take a look at the future of the industry. The National Cleanup Workshop is September 11 through 13. You can expect coverage from that event in our next episode of Energycast. And it's not just national. Environmental cleanup work is continuing around the world. Recently, 2 leaders from the United Kingdom visited us in Oak Ridge. They sat down with our leadership team to share what works and what doesn't when it comes to cleanup. There are several major sites overseas that face similar issues. We asked, out of all the nuclear cleanup sites in the United States, why'd they want to visit ours? The successful cleanup of K-25 is what caught their eye.
It gives me a huge sense of pride to be part of the cleanup program here in Oak Ridge and be able to not only see that what we're doing is adding value to the community, but it's also been recognized by our counterparts across the world.
The 4 of us had a really great conversation. We look forward to sharing more of it with you next month. You're going to hear about our international visitors' thoughts on everything from site work to barbecue. Priorities here, folks. How this relationship will continue to benefit both countries and their thoughts on Calhouns.
Regardless if we're ready for it or not, they are coming. It's going to be part of our technology. It's going to be, AI, computer softwares. Those things are coming. So either we have to learn how to use it, learn how to protect ourselves from it.
Remember when robots were just things we dreamed up as kids? Well, now they are real and they are smart, sophisticated, and anything but simple. We're going to show you how robots are being created and used right here in Oak Ridge and beyond.
And we look forward to crowning new champions in the City of Champions.
We're taking you to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where one of our DOE coworkers competed in the National Senior Games. Did Joe Carson bring home a medal? We'll let you know when we come back. We've got some really cool tech talk today. It is all about robots. They're being created and used right here in East Tennessee. I got to hang out with some of the researchers bringing them to life. Welcome home, robots.
That is exciting. Yeah.
We've been waiting for you.
This lab will probably facilitate getting fusion to the next level.
This building has been around since the 1960s.
Every 5 to 6 years, every equipment that you see up here will be gone and a new one will come in.
The work that has gone on inside has advanced time and time again.
This is around 1999 is when this was built.
Dr. Venu Varma has seen a lot since starting at Oak Ridge National Lab in 1996. Now he's preparing for the newest members of the team.
The work cell that we are developing for EM will be basically situated right over the plugs.
They'll be tested and teams will have a chance to get comfortable playing this real-life, high-stakes video game. This robotic arm has what its creators call the digital twin. That's the human counterpart controlling its movements.
Our job is to prove that they're safe, that they can work with us, that they can help advance our causes, they can help clean up Oak Ridge, They can help us with our mission.
The gloves are touch sensitive, meaning the user can actually feel what the robot does.
When we start dealing with things that are touch sensitive that we don't want to break when we handle it, we need to know how much pressure that can handle. We can actually set our robot and we can have haptic hands to actually feel that pressure so that we can move things gently. That's the next level.
It's also next level safety, protecting humans from hazards. Take this radioactive wire, for instance. It was removed from the East Cell Bank just a few weeks ago. Crews had to suit up and fish it out from 25 feet above through an opening atop the hot cell. It took them months just to plan for the big day.
Well, the robot, it doesn't come out. Once you put it in, it stays in. So you can go from one task to the next task to the next task.
They go where we can't.
But hot cell, the windows are all grayed out brown because of radiation. So there is no way to look through the window and perform this operation.
Pieces from other labs across the country are set to arrive by the end of the year. A national team effort being constructed in Oak Ridge.
If you put the work cell up here and remove the plug, we have got 30 foot down. So we could simulate what we will encounter.
But when you think about it, robots are already here. They've been here.
The cars that we drive, right? I mean, everybody's Tesla's a big thing. It's really just a robot. That's what we're driving around. It's paying attention, and you're still in control. You're still using it. It's a tool, but it has features that maybe help you or assist you in your project. That's, we're getting from point A to point B.
Only this point A to point B includes navigating radioactive material in rooms they can't even see into.
But the idea is if we could advance the project into a safe position so then we could send a workforce in there in a safer way, we want to pursue that. That's something. Our workforce is our greatest asset.
And once again, this building will be home to a next generation of ideas.
Yeah, that is what keeps me going.
UCOR, Roane State Community Colleges, and other trade vendors recently traveled to Knoxville to set up shop at the Change Center. The goal was to expand outreach into previously unreached communities and share news of job opportunities supporting cleanup. Bruce Charles is the Chief Financial Officer of the Change Center. He knows about those jobs and wants others in his community to hear about them too.
We see those kids here all the time, so we'd love to get them hooked up with you guys to see what they could do relative to the trades. And get into the trades, because the trades is a really good route to take.
This event is part of UCOR's continued outreach to underserved communities in the region. A similar event last fall in Oak Ridge's Scarborough community led to 21 applicants to the East Tennessee Apprenticeship Program. All of the graduates of that 6-week program were able to join UCOR's trades workforce and have started new careers supporting the cleanup mission. Hey, some sports news for you this month. Engineer by day, basketball star by night, Joe Carson's team, the Smoky Mountain Papas, made it to the National Senior Games. He tells us he's been playing basketball for 60 years. In June, the Papas won the state 3-on-3 competition in the 65-plus division. That sent them on to the big tournament in Pittsburgh.
People are living longer, pursuing healthier lifestyles, and competing in both individual and team sports.
Carson actually played with a different team at Nationals. They didn't medal there, but next year he tells us he'll be in a new bracket, 70 and up. And he says he'll be the young kid on the block, so he's all ready to take home a national win. Thanks for watching our August episode. We're going to have a special edition of Energycast for you next month. We're headed to the nation's capital to cover the National Cleanup Workshop. The Energy Secretary and lots of leaders are going to be there to talk about the latest updates surrounding DOE's cleanup efforts. Back home, our crews are finishing demolition on a second reactor building at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. We're going to give you plenty of coverage of that milestone accomplishment. Our team will also cover some of our projects that are gaining steam at Y12. You can expect all of that in September. Thank you so much for joining us for Energycast. New episodes come out on the third Sunday of the month. You can watch on air and online. We post Energycast episodes on our Facebook and YouTube pages the day after they air. Head over to follow us on our social media accounts. We're always happy to answer questions and share information with you there as well. And remember, if you work in environmental management in Oak Ridge, keep us in mind if you come across a story. We are always looking for news tips and story ideas from all across the reservation. Email your idea to oakridgeem@orem.doe.gov. Let us know there. You might just see it right here. See you next time.